Doom Vivamos Vivamos Epicureans. This is the Marvel Epic Collection Podcast one-shot edition. I'm your host, Nick Smith, and I'll be joined by Stojr in just a moment. We are participating in Kurtis Findlay's Epic Marvel Podcast Reading Club, and this one-shot is going to be our brief thoughts on today's issue, which is Uncanny X Men number 156, Pursuit. And incidentally, this one is my birthday issue. We had Stojr's a little while back. He got the really cool Days of Future Past as his birthday issue. I get the Starjammers, which I'm okay with. I kind of like the Starjammers. I think I've said this before. The Starjammers remind me very much of Star Slayer, Mike Grell comic from the 80s, although the Starjammers came first, but they have a very similar vibe. Star Slayer has its own book, though, which is well worth a read if you ever get the chance. Starjammers, they do get their own mini-series at some point, but I don't think we get them much beyond just the X-Men. Maybe someday we'll get an epic that collects the Starjammers stuff in it. I don't know. That'd be great. I'd buy it. All right, so in the wake of their battle in New York, the X-Men are teleported aboard the Starjammer, which is in pursuit of Deathbird's ship since she had kidnapped Professor X in addition to kidnapping Lilandra. They follow into a giant living Brood ship where battle takes place, and a healed Colossus also joins the fray. Now, as most of the X-Men battle the Brood, Cyclops and Corsair rescue the Professor and the Empress, and they all manage to escape, but do not have enough time to make it back to Earth in time to stop the Shi'ar from attacking the Earth. Okay, this one is a good fun. At times I felt like it was a little repetitive. We get a recap at the start, which of course we do because in this age of comics, the theory is every issue is somebody's first issue, so you got to fill them in before you go on with the story, so that's okay. But then we get a recap of Colossus's injury, and we get a recap of when Cyclops and Corsair were separated when Scott was a child, that whole thing of being pushed out of the airplane. We've seen that several times before, so things just felt rather repetitive here. The sci-fi elements of this issue, though, really let Cockrum's art shine. The spaceships are suitably weird and interesting, as are the Starjammers themselves, of course. And the idea of the Brood inhabiting a giant space whale, that is cool and indicative of just how evil the Brood are, that they would enslave this, again, space whale and make it their living spaceship. Really neat, really cool idea. And I'm enjoying this. I'm looking forward to where we go. Okay, that's it for me. Let's pass this off to Stojr and see what he thinks.
Uncanny X Men 156, Starjammers. So this is a great issue. So we end up with Colossus mortally wounded and the cops trying to arrest the X Men in the previous issue, with the only Avenger here to help out is Tigra, who takes the opportunity to try and chat with the cops. But before we even have to worry about that, we get the Starjammers and swooping in to teleport everybody away and pick up those X-Men. For those of you that were born before 9/11 and remember images like this often of the Twin Towers, it's always a kind of a bittersweet thing to see that in artistic mediums, having lived through that and it no longer around. Cockrum's really knocking it out of the park with the art in these issues. We're reintroduced to the different Starjammers, and we see kind of what Kitty and Nightcrawler are doing up on the Shi'ar ship, with some additional kind of playfulness of the costume changes and things like that. Kind of giving you like Jan from the Avengers vibe, right? The Wasp is always she's a fashion designer by trade, so she's always trying to change out her costumes and things like that. They get news that Peter might be dead, very much upsetting Kitty, and a little bit of the backstory here of where Deathbird has alliances within the Shi'ar Imperial, or within the Shi'ar Empire. We get a little bit of time here with Professor X and Lilandra, some foreshadowing here with the Brood, it looks like, but we'll have to find out in future issues if that's the case or not. And a lot of sort of catch up and backstory between Cyclops and his father, Corsair. Really in-depth kind of look at what happened, some some imagery here of her about to get SA'd and ultimately getting murdered here. Now this gets expanded on, spoilers, in the future with the Dark Genesis work, where there's some more time here that's not filled in between these panels, and there's actually a third Summers brother that is created at this time. So as we go forward here, the happy reunion is sort of broken up a little bit, and we get this amazing 2-page splash page by Cockrum, looking at this sort of space alien entity here, space whale or whatever it is here. Really cool looking thing as we go forward here. I think the reveal here of like Colossus kind of knocking down the door and trying to get revenge on Deathbird is great, but at the same time it feels a little bit too quick. We have, just a couple pages ago we were being told how he is, he's at death's door and they're not really sure if he's going to make it. He's kind of touch and go. The Brood look really cool throughout this whole thing. You get Professor X trying to defend his woman there. You get Storm getting pulled out into space. And I really like the idea of this sort of countdown clock here, that she only has 30 seconds and they have to kind of get her back on the ship before the end of that. Finally, we end up with this robot here telling them that they're kind of stranded. Kind of feels a little bit like the beginning of Endgame, and they're not going to be able to get back to Earth in time. And that's where it left off until the next issue in 157. I'm really kind of keyed in for these issues. I think it's a great start off to the volume within the Brood Saga. Looking forward to the next issue.